Have you ever wondered why the Prophet warned us not to leave water uncovered at night? What could possibly happen to a simple bowl of water while we sleep? Science speaks of bacteria and insects, but Islam speaks of something deeper, the unseen. Tonight we uncover a forgotten sunnah, one that protects you, your home, and your peace of mind. Because sometimes what we ignore in small things invites great harm. Stay till the end. You'll never look at a glass of water the same way again. Among the many subtle teachings of the Prophet Muhammad are those that protect not only our faith, but also our health and daily well-being. One such teaching is his clear instruction to cover food and water at night before going to sleep. In Sahih Muslim, the Prophet said, "Cover your vessels and tie your water skins, for there is a night in the year when disease descends, and it does not pass an uncovered vessel without touching it." Muslim 2012. This hadith reveals both a spiritual and practical dimension. On the surface, it serves as a rule of cleanliness, preventing dust, insects, or bacteria from contaminating food and drink. But on a deeper level, it points to the unseen world. Alam al-Ghaib, reminding us that unseen forces, including Jinn or harmful energies, may interact with the physical world in ways we cannot perceive. By instructing believers to cover water and utensils, the Prophet was teaching a simple act of daily protection. This small sunnah act takes only seconds, but acts as a barrier between you and unseen harm, whether physical or spiritual. Scholars explain that the term disease in this narration may include both microbial illness and metaphysical afflictions, since the Prophet often joined worldly advice with spiritual wisdom. Modern science too affirms that uncovered water can collect dust particles, mosquito eggs, and microorganisms overnight. Thus, what began as an act of obedience to a prophetic command also aligns perfectly with modern hygiene. In essence, covering water is more than a habit. It is an act of sunnah, safety, and trust in Allah's wisdom. A believer who observes it safeguards both the body and the soul while earning the blessing, Barakah, of following the messenger. In Islamic teaching, the world we see is only part of creation. Beyond it exists the unseen realm, Alam al-Ghaib, a reality acknowledged in the Quran and Sunnah. Among the unseen are the Jinn, beings created from smokeless fire, who live in their own domain, yet can interact with the human world in subtle ways. The Prophet Muhammad warned us about these interactions, emphasizing protective actions such as covering food and water at night. In a hadith recorded by Sahih Muslim, the Prophet said, "Cover your vessels and tie your water skins, for there is a night in the year when disease descends, and it does not pass an uncovered vessel without touching it." This profound instruction implies that uncovered food or water may be affected by unseen agents, whether physical like airborne impurities and germs, or metaphysical like jinn or spiritual harm. The Arabic phrase "La yamuru bi'ina'in gairi mughta'i la nazala fihi min dalika alda," no uncovered vessel is passed without being touched by it, conveys both a literal and spiritual warning. Classical scholars, including Imam al-Nawawi, explained that this disease could mean illness carried through the air or a spiritual impurity sent as a test or warning. Covering vessels therefore acts as both hygienic protection and spiritual shield. The Prophet even recommended placing a stick or covering cloth across the vessel if a full cover isn't available, showing how strongly this sunnah was emphasized. From a modern viewpoint, uncovered water may gather bacteria, insects, or toxins overnight, confirming the wisdom behind this ancient guidance. Spiritually, covering it signifies obedience, awareness, and trust in Allah's unseen protection. It's a simple act with profound benefits for both body and soul. Islam teaches that a believer's home and sleeping environment should be clean, peaceful, and spiritually protected. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized many small yet powerful nightly habits, such as reciting Quranic verses, saying Bismillah before sleeping, and covering food and water. Among these etiquettes is the subtle but meaningful warning against sleeping near uncovered water. Scholars and early Muslims have long observed that uncovered water can attract physical impurities and spiritual disturbances during the night. Physically, open containers may collect dust, bacteria, or insects, making the air around them less pure. Spiritually, the unseen realm, Alam al-Ghaib, becomes more active at night, and Jinn, like humans, may pass through spaces containing water. Since water is a medium that both humans and Jinn use, uncovered water may become a place of interaction, leading to unease or spiritual discomfort for those nearby. Many traditional scholars note that people who sleep beside uncovered water often experience disturbed dreams, anxiety, or heaviness upon waking, signs that the environment may be spiritually unsettled. Although this is part of the unseen and cannot be measured scientifically, Islam recognizes that unseen influences can affect human peace and rest. Covering water before sleeping is therefore both a sunnah and a shield. It preserves cleanliness, blocks harmful microorganisms, and symbolizes awareness of the unseen. Saying Bismillah while covering the vessel places divine remembrance as a protection over the home, ensuring the night passes in tranquility. In short, leaving water uncovered while sleeping not only risks impurity but also invites unseen restlessness. The simple act of covering it with a cloth, lid, or even by placing a stick across the top fulfills the sunnah and keeps your night pure, safe, and spiritually calm. In Islam, cleanliness, tahara, is not merely a hygienic practice, it is a form of worship. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Cleanliness is half of faith." Sahih Muslim. Every aspect of a Muslim's daily life is meant to reflect purity of both body and soul. Among the subtle yet powerful sunnah practices that promote this purity is the act of covering water and food containers, especially at night. The Prophet instructed, "Cover your vessels and tie your water skins." Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. This sunnah serves a dual purpose: physical cleanliness and spiritual protection. From a practical point of view, covering water prevents contamination from dust, insects, or bacteria that may fall into it while one sleeps. In pre-modern times, when storage was open and environments less controlled, this was essential for preserving health, but even today, it remains a wise and relevant practice. Spiritually, covering water reflects a believer's mindfulness of Allah and awareness of the unseen world, Alam al-Ghaib. By saying Bismillah before covering, a Muslim not only guards against physical impurities, but also shields the home from unseen harm, as mentioned in several hadiths. Scholars explain that Bismillah acts as a barrier against Jinn and other unseen influences that may cause unease or spiritual disruption. Moreover, the act of covering vessels demonstrates discipline, gratitude, and responsibility. It is a small but continuous habit that aligns one's life with prophetic guidance, showing that Islam's teachings extend even to the smallest details of daily living. Thus, covering water is not just a hygienic recommendation, it is a sunnah of mindfulness, a reflection of one's faith, and a means to maintain purity, order, and peace within the home. In Islam, every act prescribed by the Prophet Muhammad carries divine wisdom. Even the smallest habits contain hidden protection and blessings, barakah. Following the sunnah is not just imitation, it is alignment with divine guidance that safeguards both the body and the soul. One such sunnah, simple yet profound, is covering food and water at night and practicing cleanliness before rest. The Prophet said, "Cover your vessels and tie your water skins, for there is a night in the year when disease descends and it does not pass an uncovered vessel without touching it." Sahih Muslim. This statement reveals that the sunnah serves as a spiritual shield against unseen harm, whether in the form of disease, impurity, or the influence of Jinn. The believer who follows this prophetic advice acts under divine protection, even if they cannot perceive it. Moreover, living by the sunnah invites barakah, divine increase and goodness into one's home. The Prophet taught that remembering Allah through actions like saying Bismillah before covering vessels, locking doors, or turning off lights repels harm and brings serenity. When a Muslim observes these etiquettes, their home becomes a place of tranquility, order, and divine favor. The Barakah manifests as health, peace of mind, protection from accidents, and ease in daily life. Outcomes rooted in obedience to prophetic guidance. Practicing the Sunnah also strengthens one's connection to the Prophet, earning spiritual reward and Allah's mercy. As the Quran says, say, if you love Allah, then follow me. Allah will love you and forgive your sins. Quran 3:31. Thus, every Sunnah, no matter how small, acts as a barrier from harm and a gateway to blessings, transforming ordinary routines into acts of worship filled with divine protection.